Fitz Vanderpool is ready to enter the ring. Wearing a red dinner jacket robe. 342 days waiting to enter the ring for this fight. A condition that is expected to operate against him here tonight. This is not Sid Vanderpool, who many of you may have seen fighting against Bernard Hopkins a couple of years ago. This is the lesser-known, older brother, Fitz Vanderpool.
My man knows he can't put the script in, plus Jovet. Tyler's one in the ring, he's the real thing.
You're getting a look at this great old barn. It used to seat 10,000. Now it seats a little under 7,000 because the seats were expanded from 16 inches to 22 inches to accommodate today's more expansive backsides.
I'd like to have $1 for every fighter who's ever come to me and said, you know, I fought at the Olympics by way of establishing instant credibility and the kind of credential that's indelible in the sport. A closer look at Fitz Vanderpool with Larry Merchant.
One of 5 fighting brothers. His brother Sid fought Bernard Hopkins, the middleweight champion. He comes from Kitchener, Ontario, and has a friend named Lennox Lewis, who grew up there. And the question tonight, he says there's going to be an upset. But if you turn that around, those syllables, is he a set-up?
It's less than an hour's drive from Los Angeles to Fernando Vargas' hometown of Oxnard, California. The roar from this sellout crowd should be deafening as Vargas prepares to enter the ring. And here comes Fernando. Let's take a closer look at Fernando Vargas.
Earlier in his career, he was celebrated for being the youngest amateur world champion, the youngest American Olympian, the youngest champion at his weight class. Now he is making the youngest comeback. He's also talked about retirement, and if he should lose tonight or in some subsequent fights, before he gets to a big-time fight, he just might be the youngest retiree. But if he is, he'll also be the youngest mogul in boxing. He says he's invested money in buying 50 multi-apartment dwellings, as well as having other investments.
For the pre-fight introductions, the reigning mogul of ring announcers, Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Grand Olympic Auditorium here in downtown Los Angeles, Main Events is proud to present the featured bout of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing in the junior middleweight division. Brought to you in association with Miller Lite, the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, and HBO Sports, sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission Chairman Van Gordon Souter, Vice Chairman Sanford Michelman. Scoring the bout from ringside, the 3 judges will be Raul Caiz, Chuck Hassett, and Dr. James Jankin, and when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, World Boxing Hall of Famer Marty Denkin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from one of the great legendary sites of boxing, the Grand Olympic of Los Angeles, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red and blue and officially weighing 154 pounds. His professional record stands at 24 victories, including 13 knockouts, with 4 defeats and 4 bouts even. And he has held the WBC Caribbean Welter title and the Canadian Super Welterweight Championship. From Trinidad, here is the WBC #1 ranked Super Welterweight contender in the world, Fitz, the Whip, Vanderpool. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing tan trunks, and he officially weighed in at 156 pounds. And he has an excellent professional record consisting of 22 victories, including 20 knockouts against 2 defeats. From Oxnard, California, the pride of La Colonia Boxing, the 2-time junior middleweight champion of the world, the Aztec warrior, El Feroz Ferocious, Fernando Vargas.
Jimmy. One person. Hello, buddy. All right, brother. Let's get it on here. Okay, gentlemen, I told you what your responsibilities are to each other and to yourself. I told you what my responsibility is. Let's all do our job. Good luck.
You may have heard about a controversial recall of the California governor. In boxing, it just takes one punch on the jaw to be recalled.
That's right.
Crowd cheering as though Fernando Vargas is fighting to regain his 154-pound world title. That chance may lie a couple or a few fights down the road. Vanderpool, for his part, says Vargas underestimates me. He has no idea how good I am. Vargas, for his part, barely spoke about Vanderpool in the lead into the fight, being forced by media, of course, to discuss his own situation and the comeback from the loss to De La Hoya and the steroid suspension.
Don't hold on.
Vanderpool fighting like a very nervous fighter.
Very nervous and very insecure. Seems like he's very uncomfortable with the situation. When a guy throws a punch and finishes up by reaching and grabbing on
Yeah, and there you saw him throw an overhand right that landed on Vargas. Obviously, his local trainer, Jimmy Montoya, trying to get him to throw that punch at Vargas and to see what happens. Every fighter that Vargas fights from now on is going to be shooting for that jaw.
But I don't think that Fitz is going to be too effective even if he lands, because he's going to be grabbing as soon as he lands a punch. Seems very jittery, very nervous.
Vargas's money punch is his left hook. We've seen him get it in a couple of times. Vargas now finds himself.
I'm going to take a point. I don't want to do that.
Marty Denkin telling Vanderpool he'll deduct a point for holding if Vanderpool continues.
Well, Vargas should do exactly what he said he was going to do. He needs to begin to box more. He's just trying to walk in and power punch. If he would take his time and just shoot a lot of jabs, and don't even necessarily shoot them hard, just relaxing jabs.
Vargas has thrown one jab in the round. This is after Buddy McGirt said he was going to have him box more. Maybe Vargas just feels as though Vanderpool's so nervous and so completely disoriented in there that he's going to be able to knock him out easily.
No, but he should still work his jab. He should box. He'd be much more effective.
And frankly, a 2-round knockout here probably wouldn't serve him as well as if he boxes for 7 rounds and sets something up.
That's correct.
There's a hard right hand by Vargas. 2 more punches. Vanderpool in trouble against the ropes.
That was a good sportsmanlike gesture on the part of Fernando. About a year ago, he may not have did that. He would have hit his opponent while he was down.
You know, or spat on him the way he did with Ross Thompson.
I really appreciate good sportsmanship.
There's a constant struggle in Fernando's life between growing up and remaining a boy. You can see him at war with himself in close circumstances.
And I think that's what's made him, to some degree, very popular with a lot of the fans, because they realize
that he's been rushed.
You know,
now Vargas goes back to his corner where he may be hearing from either of two trainers. The newly installed Buddy McGirt, who stands in front of him, or his longtime father figure Eduardo Garcia, just outside the ropes.
Load up. Use your speed. Okay? You're making it harder than it has to be. Okay? Now when you come out now, give him a feint and start backing him up with the jab. Okay? All right. Go, brother.
If Garcia speaks, we hear interpreter Ray Torres.
at this stage right here, all Vargas is doing is trying to overpower Fitz. He can feel the inexperience and the nervousness on the part of his opponent. So he's not trying to place his punches, he's just overpowering him.
The irony of Vargas's situation here, he filled this building with fans who want to see that Vargas, not the Vargas that Buddy McGirt wants to see.
Well, they saw that Vargas in the first round. He only threw 2 jabs, and he was not moving his head to get away from Vanderpool's punches because he didn't have to respect Vanderpool.
But as he should know, when he moves up and fights the top boys again, which is his ultimate goal, he's not going to be able to walk out and beat those guys by just physically overpowering them. He's going to have to go back to techniques, and he should start at this stage practicing his techniques even on these type of opponents.
Maybe Vanderpool's nervous because he knew his plan for this fight was completely wrong. Came into a meeting yesterday and insisted to us that he was going to overpower Vargas with his punching power. This is a guy who's had 32 fights and has produced 13 knockouts. Obviously, punching power is not his stock in trade.
Definitely not, and he's never been even in this type of a situation, I don't think, that I know of, with a quality fighter. Except for years back when he fought, and I think he was knocked out.
Well, he fought Reggie Green. That's about as big a name as there is on his resume, really.
No, it's another one.
Was it Charles Murray? I believe.
Charles Murray.
Charles Murray, former champion Charles Murray.
Yes, that's what I was trying to remember.
And Ray Oliveira, the all-time punch stat king, the CompuBox record holder for most punches thrown in a fight. In fact, Oliveira's been in the 3 highest punch output fights of all time. And Vanderpool threw 96 punches around against him, but couldn't land many of them. Lands a right hand against Vargas there, then turns around into the corner where Vargas can control it. Vargas still not boxing much, just wailing away.
Well, this is a good fight for us, the fans, because that's what they come to see. But for us, technically, and impressing the boxing experts in boxing, it's not one of the best performances of Fernando's career.
But he's fighting against an utterly awkward opponent, trying to avoid dangerous, wildly thrown haymakers.
A good right-hand lead there.
The strength advantage for Vargas abundantly apparent as he works Vanderpool over in the corner, and Vanderpool clocks him with a right-hand haymaker.
Yeah, I think, in fact, that Fernando was so intent on trying to find out where he was going to land his next punch, he wasn't expecting anything.
Let him go. Break, step back.
Now there's the jab. It's a street fight in Los Angeles. Fernando Vargas in control. A few program reminders. Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Catch Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the features, a profile of the world's most famous athlete, English soccer star David Beckham. September 10, Inside the NFL returns for its 27th season. This year, comedian George Lopez joins the Emmy Award-winning show hosted by Bob Costas and Chris Collinsworth. September 13, HBO pay-per-view. Rematch between Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley. Mosley won a split decision seesaw battle up the street at Staples Center 3 years ago. And September 16, Sports of the 20th Century returns with The Curse of the Bambino, a documentary that examines the misfortunes and the agony of the Boston Red Sox since the day they sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees.
I want you to relax, okay? Please.
If Vargas
Let's go,
was
baby.
intent on going back to his drawing board, the drawing board was Fitz Vanderpool, and he is a very difficult drawing board to do anything consistent against because of this awkward style.
Very awkward style. It's very difficult to see Vanderpool going much more than 2 or 3 more rounds, I think, because not only the physical exhaustion, but the nervousness. I think mentally he's going to become exhausted.
Well, you heard his trainer, Jimmy Montoya. The last thing he said to him before he left the corner was, I want you to relax, please. Pleading with Vanderpool to settle down. Vargas trying to get in a body punch. Vanderpool still so skittish in there. He hardly gets his feet set. Vanderpool threw 80 punches in the second round, though. That in itself creates activity for Vargas to have to deal with. Good body shot by Vargas. Fernando showing a little more patience than he did in the first couple of rounds.
Yes, he is. You know, Fernando's going to have to lead a little bit more with his jab and straight, simple punches. But he wastes the counter punch on his guys too late, because the guy throws crazy punches and then he pushes you with his shoulders as soon as he finishes punching, so you can't effectively counter punch him too hard.
Vargas finding it hard to unleash combinations in the center of the ring. Now he goes back to using his jab and trying to set something up.
If he keeps using his jab, he'll set him up for a good clean punch. And there you go. Nice shot. Just work his jab. And don't have to jab too hard. Don't jab too hard when you drive him out of range with the jab. Just jab a mild, relaxing jab.
Pretty well thrown 1-2 by Vargas. There he goes to the jab again. And Vanderpool gets in his jab twice. Vargas looking like a work in progress as he tries to transition.
Yes, he's not giving that exactly sharp technical performance that we expected, and a lot could be attributed to the opponent too. Very difficult opponent to fight. That's the shot, the right hand lead.
The jabs in the center of the ring made it possible for Fernando to step in on balance, in rhythm, and start landing punches in the corner. He bodies Vanderpool off and hits him with a hard body shot. Vargas partially blocking the hard Vanderpool left hook.
I've been very impressed with the determination of Vanderpool.
Okay. Baby, okay. Forget everything. Listen to me. This guy's easy. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? Don't get on the ropes. Keep him in the middle. I want you.
Okay, hey, what you have in your mind, so put the pressure on. Use the left, and the jab. And then after, the combinations. Put him to the ropes. When you get into the ropes, you're going to hit him to the body.
Finish your combination. More water. You finish your combination.
Right here, you're seeing Fernando is shooting the straight shots through the center. That's the best punches he can shoot with this guy. And he's moving out of the way.
Well, it's a 1-to-1 correspondence, Emmanuel. In round 3, Vargas landed 9 of 15 jabs, and therefore was able to land 15 out of 25 power shots. So all in all, he landed 60% of his punches in the round. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-27. Ferocious Fernando Vargas. Jim, you know, this guy's got what I used to call a herky-jerky style, meaning Vanderpool. And it's not easy when you're coming, off a long layoff. But Fernando Vargas seems to be timing him really nice with the good left jabs and the good left hooks, hitting him with good power shots. I think he's much more aggressive, doing much more damage.
I say this for Vanderpool, coming in a situation like this, fighting in a small ring, which looked like it's about an 18-foot ring, and a pro-Mexican crowd, been off this long. Vanderpool is fighting a very courageous fight.
And he started to settle down here in the 4th round, finally has his feet under him, and begins to fire the jab with resolution, maybe he can get off a combination.
And he still unloads those haymaker punches out of the blue, so you can never get totally relaxed with him. He hasn't never went into a completely defensive mode.
Body shots by Vargas. I'm not sure why Marty Dinkin was warning him off. There's a good one, too, by Vargas. Excellent left hook, staggers Vanderpool.
Vargas has got him hurt now.
Right hand landed flush. Vanderpool backs him off with the dangerous haymakers. Vargas measures and takes his time.
Vanderpool is standing in the corner and saying, hit me, hit me.
Vargas should just shoot short punches, just short shoulder punches, nothing big. The short punches is what Vanderpool is having the problem in seeing. Not the big punches.
Marty Dinkins rules it a slip. Looked like the little right hand might have caused that.
Yeah, it's a little push-like punch. That's some short punches.
These are some of the most effective right hands Fernando Vargas has thrown since his win over Ike Quartey 4 years ago. Vargas seems to be in touch now with the idea that he can control Vanderpool with technique instead of just by bullying him around the ring.
But he's hesitating a lot. I saw earlier, I think, in the square, he would have been knocked out Vanderpool. He's a little hesitant. He's thinking a little too much now and hesitating.
Well, Manny.
There it goes. Short right hand again.
Yep, and a good left hook again. Same combination that rattled Vanderpool before. 1, 2, 3. Jab, right cross, left hook.
He's got a punch going, quit thinking so much.
Fernando, in my view, has never really had the kind of ultra superstar quickness that sets the De La Hoyas and Trinidads apart.
No, but earlier in the square, I thought he got off punches a lot better. I thought he was a lot short punches. It's a little hesitant now.
Great strength, great determination, terrific heart. Fernando Vargas controlling Fitz Vanderpool through the fourth.
Your best punches is at the mid-range. Use your right hand. Measure him with the left and throw the right.
Beautiful now. Give him a face. Remember, don't stand up. Punch his wing. Remember when we went down on that, huh?
Trying to see what's around there. Yeah. Once again, short right hand again. Vargas is landing nothing but the short punches. And if he sticks to that, he'll be okay.
Vargas has always been a strong puncher, not a sharp puncher. And he's gotten his opponents out of there with an accumulation of blows, rarely with just one or two.
Vargas still winning every round on Harold Letterman's scorecard. The fourth round, the best one, as perhaps the ring rust is slowly coming off for Fernando Vargas, and he's beginning to get more comfortable with the ideas and the techniques that Buddy McGirt is trying to instill.
Yes, and I think the style, he's getting a little more comfortable with Vanderpool's style, too.
Well, Vanderpool not quite as wild and reckless now as he was in the first two rounds.
He backs back, he stumbles like he's about to fall by himself, and then out of the blue, he'll throw a punch when you least expect it.
Good right hands by Fernando Vargas. They thrill the crowd as they land flush. Vanderpool gets in one body shot. Gets off the ropes.
You know, sometimes when a fighter believes that the other fighter is vulnerable to one punch, it gives him the hope to stay in there.
Yes, and that could be the case with Vanderpool.
And that could be the case with Vanderpool. They believe that they can hurt Vargas with one punch, and so he's just hanging in there, ducking, just like that, hoping that something like that will put a dent in Vargas.
Particularly the right hand, because he's had success with probably 3 out of the blue right hands tonight.
When Vargas came back after his loss to Felix Trinidad, Wilfredo Rivera knocked him down in the second round. A lot of people wondering if the same kind of thing would happen tonight. That's what Larry's referring to as Fitz Vanderpool totally wobbly as Marty Denkin pulled him away there.
Yeah, he's going to knock himself out if he misses a punch, probably.
He hits Vargas with a right hand.
And that's what's keeping him in the fight. As Larry said earlier, knowing that he can still land those right hands occasionally.
Everybody in Vanderpool's corner was up on the ring apron screaming for him as he landed that one right hand against Vargas. Clearly their whole fight strategy based on the notion that if you land a haymaker, you might crack Vargas's jaw. Good straight right hand, stiffens Vanderpool again.
When you see those kind of punches landing, you have to ask yourself, what would happen if a serious puncher landed those punches?
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Larry. And here's a guy with his legs is shot. He's falling all over the place. And even when he's throwing his punches, he's falling when he's throwing his punches. But nevertheless, he's landing right hands.
Crowd's getting a lot of action at the Olympic Auditorium. First sellout in more than 20 years here.
Don't get hit with none of them. You know what's coming. You understand me? Come on, listen to me. Pay attention. Pay attention, baby. Don't worry about the crowd. If you hurt him, that's when he gets desperate. And that's when he starts shooting that right hand. Don't walk straight in. I don't give a damn if he's falling down.
Your hands up. Use your jab, and then you measure and throw your right. But don't walk into his right.
Stop trying so hard to knock him out. Power breathe, power breathe.
Straight right hand again. It's at the end of every round when we show the playback. There's always the straight right hand that does the damage.
Yeah, and you heard McGirt actually referring in a different way to something I said earlier when he said, don't listen to the crowd. The crowd wants him to fight that brawling style. Buddy McGirt wants him to be more patient.
Much more patient.
It's a schizophrenic situation.
McGirt following all that up with, don't walk straight in. I don't care if the guy's falling down in front of you.
If Fitz had good, strong legs where he could shoot his right hand and turn his weight properly, sit down on it without falling with the right hand, even with all of this, Fernando would have problems tonight.
Fernando with a lead left hook, flips Vanderpool on the jaw. Vanderpool seeming about to... Second time he's fallen down from the momentum of his own fight.
Yeah.
Well, his balance and legs is bad, but officially, anytime a guy goes down from a punch that lands above the waist, it's officially a knockdown. But it's
but there is a wetness in the middle of the ring. Yeah,
and something wrong with his legs. See that? It's sliding. Something on the canvas.
It's the beer promotion patch in the middle of the ring. Marty Denkin sends both fighters from neutral corners. And they're throwing towels into the ring. Jimmy Montoya says, hey, look, if you can't wipe it up, I'll wipe it up myself.
And he slips trying to get that portion dry.
Somebody had literally brought a mop from the back of the arena all the way to ringside, but because of the heroic effort of Jimmy Montoya.
And there's also a lump in the ring I'm looking at from now. You can tell there's a slight lump right in the same area.
Montoya's trousers almost fell off.
And your legs are falling all over the ring as it begins, but you don't need anything on the canvas.
And it's Vanderpool who remembers to throw his jab as they resume the combat.
He's sliding again.
Vargas's left hook lands. Vanderpool's right eye starting to swell on the outside of the eyelid. Vanderpool looks half out of it in there, but still lands a left hook haymaker.
His legs are gone.
Now there you saw a three-punch combination from Vargas, and he stepped back. That's what Buddy McGirt's looking for.
Yeah. This is efficient work. And this won't last much longer if Vargas continues to discipline himself to work efficiently like this.
look at Vanderpool. There's no legs. The ropes is holding him up, but still he'll throw a punch at any chance that he gets.
Unbelievable. Saves Vanderpool from further punishment. Fernando Vargas has a 6th-round technical knockout. The crowd has what they want. It remains to be seen whether Buddy McGirt got what he wanted.
He needed the victory. Buddy McGirt has said to me that he needs 2 or 3 more camps and fights with Vargas before he feels Vargas will absorb what he's trying to communicate to him.
And I agree with Buddy McGirt.
But isn't it fair to say that Fernando gradually tuned in more and more of what McGirt wanted as the fight went on?
Yeah, but he still got hit disturbingly by too many big, clean punches. Top fighters don't get hit that squarely by clean punches.
And top
Vargas
fighters don't go that many
show.
rounds with a fighter whose legs has been gone for about 3 rounds before also.
Yeah. Vargas closed the show, landing 22 of 30 power shots against the seemingly defenseless Fitz Vanderpool. Crowd is giving Vargas the love he wants right now as he displays himself to each of the 4 corners of the Olympic Auditorium crowd. 22 out of 30 power shots, and remember, this came after the impassioned plea from Buddy McGirt to be more patient, be more disciplined about putting his punches together. Let's take a look at how Fernando Vargas gradually put together the flurry that prompted Marty Denkin to stop the fight. The left hook there, and that right cross across the top, both damaging Vanderpool. What does it say, Emmanuel, that Vanderpool's legs had been gone for 2 or 3 rounds at this point, and Vargas never put his back on the canvas? Credit to Vanderpool, or question about Vargas'
I think it's a combination of both. I think I definitely have to give a lot of credit to Vanderpool. I was very impressed with his courage and determination tonight. And with Fernando, in all honesty, I just thought that there was a lot of things. He still left questions that I haven't saw answered, that I would like to have saw answered. He needs a few more fights.
Good CompuBox numbers overall. We'll give them to you as we go along here. Meanwhile, ring announcer Michael Buffer has the official particulars on the TKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Marty Denkin calls a halt to the contest. The official time, 2 minutes, 36 seconds of round number 6. The winner by TKO victory, the pride of La Colonia Boxing, Oxnard, California, the Aztec Warrior, El Ferocious Fernando Vargas.
Vargas goes to 23 wins, 2 losses, 2 losses. Trinidad and De La Hoya. Final CompuBox numbers, Vargas landing 51% of the punches he threw. He got better as the fight went on, threw more and more punches as the fight went on, worked more and more behind his jab as the fight went on. Power shots, totally dominant, 102 out of 188, 54%. Could scarcely miss toward the end. Vanderpool, almost all wild shots, 19 out of 154. Larry Merchant is in the ring with Fernando Vargas.
You have to cue me. All right, congratulations, Fernando. Was it difficult for you to absorb what Buddy McGirt has been trying to teach you about patience, while all your fans here wanted to see the more impatient Fernando Vargas?
You know, I'm Mexican. And, you know, when I got all my people right here, and the way it is, so beautiful, you know, it's hard for me to stick to what Buddy does and tells me best, and that's to shake and bake. As you saw, I was shaking and baking a little bit, but I just wanted to start baking.
As the fight went along, it seemed that you were showing a little bit more patience, throwing some punches, getting back out, and then going back in.
Right. You know, Fitz Vanderpool is no pushover. He's #1 contender for a reason. You know, I got ready, and I spent up there 9 weeks in Big Bear, but you're still gonna see rust. I'm not totally where I'm supposed to be.
You got hit still with a lot of clean punches. Did that disturb you?
No, because I'm fighting the #1 contender. You know, he's no joke. If I was fighting some other #1 contender from an alphabet soup, then maybe. But, you know, this guy is a legitimate fighter that has won 15 of his last fights, so I'm ready.
Give me, on a scale of 10, how would you grade your performance?
A 3.
A 3?
Yeah, I'm my own worst critic. And, you know, I never try to sugarcoat things. I had to look back at the tape, but I honestly felt rusty in there. You know, I didn't get away with shots like I should have gotten away with them. But like I said, you know, I'm still working, I'm still learning.
It's been 10 months
right.
since you lost to De La Hoya.
Right.
How difficult has it been for you to deal with that sort of winner-take-all showdown that it was?
It was hard, I'm not gonna lie, you know, but my Mexican people, you know, and my fans are in general, because I got a lot of fans from every national background, creed, and form. So, you know, all my fans, every time they saw me, they're like, "We're still with you, Fernando." We almost had them, like they were in there with me. So, you know, they really helped me get through that. But that doesn't mean that I'm satisfied. I still got to go back, and I still got to learn a lot more with Buddy.
Are you content with the agenda to get back slowly so that you can work yourself to the top again?
Absolutely, I'm 25. What's the rush? You know, I understand that early in my career, they probably thought that I was a little crazy, a little wilding out, that I couldn't control myself, you know? Because, you know, I used to run pretty young and pretty stupid. But I'm young, and I'm older now, and I'm growing a lot more mature. And, you know, I think if they give me some more time, they'll definitely let me blossom into a better fighter, into a much more, you know, rounded fighter with Buddy along, with Eduardo Garcia, with my people from Pro Camp, and with my boy Tito Ortiz.
Thank you very much. Again,
Thank you,
congratulations.
Oxnard, baby.
Jim?